Apple is preparing to expand its manufacturing operations in Vietnam as part of a push into the smart home market and an ongoing effort to really lessen its dependence on China. So let's get to it. Mark is managing editor for Global Consumer Tech. He's out there on the West Coast. Well done, well done. What's going on here?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So, to your point, Apple is preparing to expand manufacturing operations in Vietnam. They are developing a series of new smart home devices for next year and for 2027. One is a smart home hub. We've talked about it a million times, I think, to compete with the Amazon Echo. The other is a tabletop robot, which would compete with some devices that are now becoming quite popular in China. And they're also working on a smart home privacy-centric security camera that would compete with Ring and Nest and all those other companies that make security equipment. These are going to be built first and foremost in Vietnam. They're working with a company called BYD. They're otherwise known as a China electric vehicle manufacturer. They're actually quite popular in Asia. They also do some mass manufacturing for Apple, though, out of Vietnam, and they'll be handling these devices. They already make some iPads for Apple, but this is going to be a significant expansion of the BYD business for Apple. But more importantly for Apple, an expansion in Vietnam. As you know, whenever they come out in major new product categories, they usually kick things off in China. So this is a bit of a shift.
Mark, I'm curious sort of what the Apple supply chain looks like geographically. So you've mentioned the importance of China. Obviously, Vietnam, incredibly important now in light of what you've been reporting. But I know that they make things in India. They make stuff in Malaysia, Thailand as well. So how do they think through the way that their supply chain looks now and how it should look in light of the kind of trade uncertainty that we've seen them having to grapple with, like so many companies?
Here are the broad strokes. China production is for China and everywhere but the United States. Huh. United States production is elsewhere. Obviously, this is because of the tariff situation and the global politics and what have you. So India has become the iPhone base for the U.S. Vietnam, it's the Apple Watch, it's the home devices, it is the AirPods. And then for Macs, you're seeing a lot of production happening in Thailand. You're seeing some production happening in Malaysia and some in Vietnam as well. It's expected to occur there. And then Indonesia, very small player. They're making some mesh fabric for Apple products, including the AirPods Max headphones. So the supply chain has gone under a rapid expansion across Southeast Asia over the past couple of years.
Hey, one thing I want to ask you, Mark, because it sometimes feels like some mixed signals. Like we've got BYD, it's a Chinese company, so Apple is working with them on these products, and yet at the same time moving manufacturing to Vietnam. So is that Apple kind of giving China something, yet doing something else? Like, I always think they manage that relationship very carefully.
I mean, to be fair, Foxconn is a Taiwanese company, and they're based in China, and all of their manufacturing is primarily done in China. They've expanded to India and Vietnam and what have you. So in terms of where the company, originated and where it's based versus where they do manufacturing, that's not as relevant. What's more relevant is that Apple has to sell the idea to the Chinese government that they're not backing down from China, even if they're diversifying outside of China. And the way they do it is continue to build for China and everywhere outside of the U.S. in China. And that's not to say they're not doing anything for the U.S. in China. My new iPhone 17 Pro Max, obviously I live in the United States, it was built in China. So they're still doing some, but that's really for the first wave of the new devices. Over the next few months or so, you'll see a lot of that 17 production for the U.S. shift back to India.
As you said, though, the onus on Tim Cook and Apple to say to Beijing, listen, China, we're not backing down. But are they backing down? Mark, as you look at it, it kind of feels like they're backing down a little bit.
I think there's a bit of a yo-yo effect here. I don't think anything is set in stone. Apple is moving as the wind blows. And right now the wind is blowing in the sense that they need to get manufacturing for the U.S. because of tariffs outside of China. There will be another administration at some point. There will be tariff changes during this administration. And so they're going to shift as necessary. They've built the supply chain to be fairly agile, where they can move layers of production in between countries. They have all the facilities there, and they can crank up that percentage of what needs to be done in Vietnam, crank down the percentage of what needs to be done in China, and just go as the wind blows. As you know, really 2026 is going to be the year of the tariff impact, because so far it's been negligible for Apple. The hit has been just like a few $1 billion, which is essentially nothing compared to the amount of revenue they bring in. They are getting some reprieves from Trump. Obviously, they did the dog and pony show around the glass shift from China to the US, but certainly there's going to be more movement to come as well. And so they'll shift as necessary. And I think the word of the day should be agile, because they're moving as they need to.
Mark, let me ask you lastly here, 2026, the year of the tariffs, the year of all of these devices as well, underpinned by this new Siri. And we've seen some delays on that and some difficulty getting that ready for prime time. In your piece, you kind of lay out what the ideal timeline is for Apple going forward here. I wonder, as you think about this and as you talk to your sources, is there a sense that they're going to be able to stick to it, or are those delays going to be kind of prologue for what's to come here in 2026?
No, I think this is it. I mean, these new home devices, particularly the first one, the Home Hub that I mentioned, that was supposed to come out last March or March earlier this year. Now it's going to come out in March, April of 2026. I would say it's going to be disastrous if they miss that March target. I don't anticipate them missing it. I think they're getting it out the door one way or another.